The Ed Sullivan Theatre buzzed with anticipation. Stephen Colbert, sharp-tongued and poised, leaned across his desk with that trademark glint in his eye. "Clint, your 2016 Trump endorsement. Do you stand by it given everything that's happened? Since?" The question, laced with irony, hit like a spark in dry brush. Gasps and uneasy chuckles rippled through the crowd. Crew members stilled. Cameras zoomed in, centering on the man in the spotlight. Clint Eastwood, 95 years old, immaculately tailored, stone-faced, didn't flinch. Just minutes earlier, he'd been charming the crowd with stories from the set of Juror Number 2. Now, the atmosphere had shifted. Colbert had made his move, expecting a sidestep. What he got was fire. Eastwood's voice, raspy but firm, cut through the silence. "I backed someone who shook things up. Not a saint. I voted across the aisle. Freedom's my compass, not party lines." The room hushed. A ripple of applause broke through. Scattered, cautious. Colbert pressed on, smile thinning. "Freedom's one thing, Clint. But Trump's chaos? January 6th? The election lies? Where do you stand now?" The line wasn't just a question. It was a blade. The air thickened. Off stage, producers exchanged glances. The audience shifted in their seats. Eastwood's eyes narrowed, his voice low and unshaken. "Chaos? I've filmed wars bloodier than that. I say what I see, Stephen. Always have." Half the audience erupted in cheers. The other half booed. The theater divided down the middle. Colbert leaned in, tone sharpened. "What you see is bold, Clint. But endorsing division, does that really match your Make My Day vibe?" The jab, tied to Eastwood's iconic Dirty Harry role, drew laughter. Uneasy, edged with tension. Backstage, someone whispered, "Ease up." Eastwood didn't blink. "I've played men who stand their ground," he said, voice tightening. "That's not an act." The tension climbed. Every word teetered on the edge of escalation. Colbert's smile froze, flickering into something more calculating. The crowd leaned in, unsure whether they were watching a talk show or the beginning of a storm. No one looked at the teleprompter. The script had been left behind. Only the moment remained, raw, unrehearsed, and burning. Toward chaos, producers offstage whispered nervously, sensing the edge of decorum slipping. Eastwood's unyielding posture during the May 2025 taping threatened to spiral into a confrontation few had anticipated. Stephen Colbert, 61, a seasoned satire veteran with a reputation for dismantling political personas, thrived in moments like this. His audience, liberal-leaning, sharp, and expectant, had come anticipating a dismantling of Eastwood's 2016 Trump endorsement. The rare TV appearance had reignited old controversies. The theater pulsed with energy. Eastwood, earlier relaxed and disarming, had drawn laughs with dry anecdotes about directing ego-driven actors. But as the tone shifted, so did the crowd's mood. His new courtroom thriller had serious Oscar buzz, but the shadow of his political past lingered. His infamous 2012 RNC empty chair bit and his Esquire praise of Trump, still vivid in the cultural memory. "Clint, your truth is bold," Colbert said, tone light but edged. "But backing Trump in 2016, some say it fanned division. How's that square with your Western heroes, who were always about justice?" The line, clever and pointed, tethered Eastwood's film persona to his real-world politics. Laughter followed, tight, uncertain. Some in the crowd shifted in their seats. Eastwood didn't blink. "Justice," he said. "I've played men who fought for it. Trump shook a broken system. Right or wrong, I call it like I see it. His gravel-toned delivery earned a wave of applause from scattered corners of the audience. Booing rose from the back. The divide widened. Colbert pressed on. "Calling it as you see, it's one thing, Clint. But Trump's election claims, do you buy those? Or is that too far, even for you?" The question landed hard. A calculated trap. Crew members glanced at one another. The stage lights caught every twitch, every breath. Eastwood's eyes narrowed. "I don't buy anybody's script wholesale," he fired back. "I've seen governments lie. Korea, Vietnam. Skepticism's not a flaw. It's survival." The words, heavy with personal history, quieted the crowd. Some leaned forward. Others sat back, arms crossed. Stage left. Producers signaled to soften the segment. Colbert ignored it. "Skepticism's fair," he said, voice tightening. "But that empty chair at the RNC, some said it mocked Obama. Any regrets now?" Gasps rippled through the room. The wound reopened. Eastwood, jaw set, spoke low. "Regret? I mocked a system, not a man. Politics is theater, Stephen, and I've directed better." The retort split the house. Cheers collided, with hisses. Cameras adjusted, zeroing in. The line between performance and confrontation was blurring fast. Referencing his old westerns, Eastwood added, "I've played outsiders who don't bend. That's me. Always has been." More murmurs, more clapping. The tension rose like heat. Colbert leaned forward. "Outsiders are great, Clint, but endorsing chaos, does that fit the guy who directed Unforgiven, a film about redemption?" The connection was surgical, personal, professional, ideological. Whispers backstage. "He's going too far." Eastwood didn't flinch. His voice, steeped in decades of grit, drew from his 1960s anti-corruption roles. His stare locked on Colbert's. The audience held its breath. The clash wasn't an interview. It was confrontation. The temperature climbing. The rules dissolving. The next exchange threatening to blow past every boundary the studio had planned for. Durham's edge cracked wide open. Producers off stage signaled urgently. Cut the heat, steer it back. But the May 2025 taping was already careening toward chaos. Eastwood, rigid and defiant, loomed inches from eruption. His next outburst threatened not just disruption but removal. Colbert, decades deep in satire, sensed the powder keg and pushed anyway. His liberal-leaning crowd, primed for blood, thrummed with anticipation. The theater, packed with cinephiles and comedy devotees, had laughed early at Eastwood's dry wit, his quips about juror number 2. But the mood had soured. Charm was gone. Raw intensity had replaced it. The ghost of Eastwood's 2016 Trump endorsement hovered. His 2012 RNC empty chair stunt still flared in the public imagination. Colbert's questions weren't just clever. They were incendiary. "Clint, your outsider vibe's iconic." Colbert prodded, eyes sharp. "But stop the steal? Did that line up with your truth?" Eastwood, jaw clenched, leaned into the mic. "Truth?" he growled. "I've seen governments lie. Korea, Nam. I backed a guy who rattled cages. That doesn't make him gospel." Cheers erupted, scattered but loud. Boos followed. The theater split like a fault line. Colbert didn't flinch. "Rattling cages. Here's one thing," he shot back. "But January 6th? People died. You cool with that kind of chaos?" Gasps broke out. A live wire had been touched. Crew stiffened. Cameras zoomed. Eastwood's eyes narrowed to slits. "I've filmed death, Stephen. War. Crime," he said, voice low and searing. "Don't lecture me on chaos. I speak my mind, not your script." Thunderous applause from half the house, hisses and jeers from the other. The divide deepened. "Stage right. Cut!" A frantic whisper backstage. A producer waved for Colbert to pivot. He didn't. "Speaking your mind's bold, Clint," Colbert said, "but endorsing a riot. How's that square with Unforgiven, eh? Film about redemption?" The crowd stirred, some murmuring, others glaring. The jab, linking art to ideology, teetered toward mockery. Eastwood's eyes flashed. "Redemption?" he snapped. "I've lived 95 years, fought in Korea, built films from scratch. I don't need your morality quiz." The words boomed. Some audience members stood. Others hissed. Colbert's smile faded. "No quiz, Clint. But that Trump nod, it fueled division. Own that. A trap, carefully set, forcing either contrition or confrontation." The crowd bristled. "Own it?" Eastwood barked. "I own my choices, not your headlines. You sit here cracking jokes. I faced war, studios, cancel mobs. The accusation, raw and personal, dropped like an anvil. Gasp, cheer, boo, repeat." Colbert rattled, tried to steady. "Clint, this is a talk show, not a battlefield." Eastwood cut him off. Voice thunder. "Then stop fighting me like it is." The eruption breached decorum. A roar surged from the crowd, half exhilarated, half aghast. Producers lunged forward. One shouted, "Clint, calm down, or you're out." The stakes skyrocketed. A public meltdown loomed. Eastwood's legacy, 5 decades of cinematic grit, wobbled on the edge. Colbert, pushing too far, now risked alienating his base. Lights shifted. Cameras tightened. The moment burned. Eastwood, invoking Dirty Harry, growled, "I've played men who don't back down. That's no act." The house tensed. Some clapped. Some booed. Some just watched. Breath held. Colbert leaned in again. "Carefully. Clint, we're just talking here." But the air was scorched. The line between interview and confrontation had disintegrated. The Ed Sullivan Theater pulsed with chaos. The taping was no longer under control, and Eastwood wasn't backing down. "But your Trump endorsement, did it spark more heat than light?" The question came softer. A jab masked in civility, but it still landed, still cut. Eastwood, eyes blazing, leaned into the mic. "Heat?" he rumbled. "I've lived through wars, studio wars, real wars. I backed a guy who kicked the system, not a fairy tale." His voice, gravel and thunder, cracked through the theater. Half the crowd roared, the other half booed. The room fractured. Stage left. Producers gripped headsets. One waved urgently. "Go to commercial." Colbert didn't flinch. He smelled blood. "Kicking the system's one thing, Clint. But January 6th, what do you call that? Justice?" The question hit like a slap. Gasps rippled. Cameras zoomed. Eastwood's jaw tightened. "I've filmed bloodier scenes than that." "Stephen!" he growled. "Don't paint me as some riot cheerleader. I vote my conscience, not your narrative. Raw. Unfiltered." Cheers erupted, then jeers, louder. The audience was no longer one crowd, but 2 armies. Colbert's smile was gone. "Conscience is fair. But that empty chair stunt, mocking Obama in front of millions, didn't exactly unite us, did it?" Nervous laughter. Uneasy shifting. Eastwood's voice spiked. "Unite?" he snapped. "I mocked a broken system, not a man. You cherry-pick my life for ratings. That's the real show." The accusation landed hard. Some stood and cheered. Others hissed. Stagehands froze. A voice barked from offstage. "Clint, enough. You're out of line." Eastwood stood taller. "Out of line?" he roared. I've fought for truth 70 years. Korea, Hollywood, everywhere. You don't get to judge me." The crowd surged, cheers colliding with boos. Chaos swallowed the room. Colbert rattled, tried to wrest control. "Clint, this is a show, not a soapbox." Eastwood cut him off, bellowing, "Then stop preaching. I'm no prop for your act." The line detonated, all decorum gone. The audience howled, some in awe, some in outrage. Producers stormed the stage. "Mr. Eastwood, you're done. Leave. Now." Gasps, cheers, boos. Security stepped forward. Eastwood didn't flinch. He grabbed his coat. "I've said my piece. Good luck editing this," he growled, turning to leave. The audience stood, divided, electrified, some chanting, others jeering. Colbert sat frozen behind his desk. Producers barked commands. Cameras scrambled to follow the exit. The stage now a battlefield. Ideals, egos, icons colliding. Eastwood reached the wings, paused, turned. "I've played men who don't bend," he said, eyes cold, "like in High Plains Drifter." Then he was gone. Security in tow, the crowd in uproar. What remained wasn't just wreckage. It was fallout. A studio scorched, a taping shattered, a legacy challenged. Colbert sat stunned, the weight of the moment sinking in. He'd pushed a legend, and the legend pushed back, with both barrels. Eastwood's defiant exit left Colbert grappling with a misstep, whose fallout was already igniting fierce debate. Passion versus civility. Producers shouted for calm, dimming the lights to cue a commercial break, one that would never air. Colbert, collecting himself, turned to the crowd. "Well, folks, that was unexpected," he said, forcing a smile. "Clint's a legend, but we keep it civil here." Scattered laughter met his words, but the audience remained deeply divided, half booing, half applauding. The theater buzzed, with raw, uneasy energy. Crew members whispered among themselves, the tension thick. One muttered, "Clint just torched the script." The stage still held the weight of a showdown no one anticipated when Eastwood arrived to promote juror number 2. His defiance, forged in 70 years of battles, from the Korean War to Hollywood feuds, resonated with supporters who rose, applauding and shouting, "Tell it, Clint!" Others, aligned with Colbert's liberal base, jeered back, one yelling, "Stick to movies!" The divide mirrored a nation fractured by Eastwood's 2016 Trump endorsement and his 2012 RNC empty chair stunt. Old fault lines reignited. His final words, echoing High Plains Drifter, "I don't bend," lingered in the air. Audience members, filmed on their phones, their buzz a mix of awe and outrage, a microcosm of today's polarized discourse. Colbert, left alone on stage, tried to pivot to juror number 2's Oscar buzz. "It's a masterpiece," he strained to say. "Whatever you think of politics." His attempt fell flat. Some walked out. Others chanted, "Bring Clint back." Backstage, Colbert's team debated scrapping the segment altogether. "He's a legend, sure," one said, "but this is chaos." The crew adjusted mics, capturing every shout. The theater's pulse was relentless as the taping limped to a close. Outside, Eastwood faced reporters but stayed brief. "I said, my truth." "Show's over," he growled, climbing into a waiting car. Raw, unfiltered, his stand cemented his maverick image to fans who saw a titan, unbowed at 95. Critics filed out murmuring of recklessness. "He's a star, not a saint," one said. Juror number 2's box office surged, fueled by the clash's buzz. Eastwood's legacy now split, hero to some, loose cannon to others, echoing his Dirty Harry persona. post-taping, Colbert confided. To his team, I pushed too hard. Clint's no ordinary guest. His candor is rare. Hints of regret shadowed his tone. The jab tying Trump to January 6th was a misstep, fueling Eastwood's fire. The audience's debate spilled into the night. Clint's honest, like it or not, said one. He's just yelling, snapped another. Later taught in media. Classes as a case study of passion versus Polish, the clash became a cultural flashpoint with a clear lesson. Conviction can upend civility. This wasn't just a talk show flop. It was a reckoning. Eastwood's fiery defiance, like the script's courtroom triumph, exposed deep tensions between free speech and decorum. His ejection sparked debate. Colbert's misstep, like Robert's pivot before him, taught caution when challenging icons. This clash showed truth, raw and unfiltered, reshaping narratives. So weigh in. Did Eastwood's defiance cement his legend, or was Colbert's stage the wrong battleground? Subscribe for more clashes redefining discourse, and share with someone who loves a showdown. In a world of scripts and egos, the fiercest voice prevails.